On page 140 of The Reality of Revelation, written in 2011, Chairman Lee Man-hee describes the order of salvation at the end times as follows. According to the teachings so far, the order of salvation at the end times is new John, a quart of wheat and 3 quarts of barley, the small remaining seed, the sealed 144,000, and the great multitude in white robes. Then, when does the sealing of the 144,000 begin? Chairman Lee Man-hee claims in The Truth of Revelation 2, page 120, written in 1988, in other words, it refers to what happens after the sun, moon, and stars of the first heaven are judged and pass away. This is the work of chapter 6, and what happens after this is the work of chapter 7. This implies that the work of sealing begins after the events of Revelation 6, when the first tabernacle is judged and destroyed. However, there is something important to consider here. The verse in Revelation 7:1, which says, "Holding back the 4 winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or on any tree." How does Chairman Lee Man-hee interpret Revelation 7:1? In The Truth of Revelation 2, page 120, he interprets it as follows. Since judgment was already executed in chapter 6 using the 4 living creatures, the chariots, meaning war or the winds, are held back so that God's seal can be applied. The period during which they are held back is only until the 144,000 are sealed. Once the work of sealing is completed, the winds from the 4 corners will begin to blow. Through these books, we can see Chairman Lee's argument. While the 4 living creatures hold back the 4 corners of the earth, the 144,000 are sealed with the word of physical fulfillment, and after that, the wind of tribulation begins to blow again. So when did this wind of tribulation start blowing again? On page 112 of The Truth of Revelation, published in 1985, it is written, "Keep in mind that after the 144,000 are sealed, the 4 winds held back at the 4 corners of the earth will surely blow." The text clarifies that this wind is a great tribulation that believers must experience. God works to rescue the believers caught in this tribulation again. This tribulation is outlined in Revelation 9, 3-10. Thus, he connects the wind of tribulation, which blows again after the 144,000 are sealed, to the 5th trumpet of Revelation 9, 3-10. Therefore, if we know when the 5th trumpet was sounded, we can determine when the work of sealing the 144,000 was completed. Let us read on page 140 of The Truth of Revelation, published in 1985, which explains the physical fulfillment when the 6th trumpet was sounded. Furthermore, the statement that 1/3 of mankind was killed at the specific year, month, day, and hour means that in 1981, the designated year, September, the designated month, the 20th, the designated day, at 2 p.m., the designated hour, they seized the Jerusalem temple, ordered people to burn incense before it, forced even the worship rituals to follow their system, compelled all officers to resign, and changed the church signboards. As written in The Truth of Revelation, published in 1985, we can see that the 6th trumpet was sounded on September 20th, 1981. What about the 5th trumpet? When was it sounded? Since the 6th trumpet can only be sounded after the 5th trumpet, the 5th trumpet must have already been sounded before September 20th, 1981. If the wind of tribulation began to blow again through the 5th trumpet, as Chairman Lee Man-hee claims, then the work of sealing the 144,000 must also have been completed prior to September 1981. But when did Chairman Lee Man-hee say the work of sealing begins? He claimed that the work of sealing begins after the judgment on the first tabernacle is completed. However, the judgment on the first tabernacle was concluded only in March 1984, when the period of destruction ended. How could the work of sealing the 144,000 have ended before September 1981? Although Chairman Lee Man-hee claims to testify to physical fulfillment based on revelation in accordance with the 5 Ws and 1 H, cross-examining his books continuously exposes the falsehoods in his doctrine of physical fulfillment.